Thank you for being here. I'm John Martin, Airport Director. We're standing in front of the Consolidated Rental Car Center, the first airport finance consolidated rental car center in the country. We were also one of the first airports in the country to have a AirTrain system connecting to the rental car center. That allowed us to do away with all of the rental car buses and realize the emission reductions as a result. This is another first today, the initiation of the green rental car program, the first airport in the country that has a program that incentivizes the customers to rent green rental cars and incentivizes the rental car companies to add green cars to their fleet. So we hope this will become the standard for the industry and that much greater emission reductions will be achieved nationwide through the program. I'd like to recognize a few folks who are here today. Dan Goldis from the San Francisco Convention Visitors Bureau, Kinley Walsh-Lawler, Senior Director of Social Responsibility and Environmental Affairs for GAP, and Randy Torrijos, Office of San Mateo County Supervisor Mark Church. So this is part of the overall effort, the Green Rental Car Program for the airport to implement environmental programs that are industry leading and really follows the lead and direction of Mayor Gavin Newsom for the airport and the city overall to think outside of the box and go beyond the normal standards in implementing environmental programs that, as I said earlier, set the lead for the country and the world. So it's now my great pleasure to introduce Mayor Gavin Newsom.
Thanks, John. Thank you, John, and thank you, all of those present, for participating in this program, particularly the 9 companies that you see behind me, or car rental brands that you see behind me that are participating in this first-of-the-kind program in the nation. It's always nice, as Mayor of San Francisco, to initiate programs that we believe will become models to others. This program initiated formally in April of last year when we announced our intention to move in this direction, taking advantage of our concessions, taking advantage of our leases, and looking at them differently than we had in the past. Rather than just renegotiating ways to get more revenue, we wanted to renegotiate ways to get more revenue and advance our environmental stewardship and incentivize the private sector to do the same. As a consequence, the airport initiated conversations with many of those that are assembled here today with the idea of creating incentives not just for consumers, a $15 specific incentive to rent as a rental car a hybrid or alternative vehicle, but also with the concessionaires themselves to say that if you provide more alternative fuel vehicles and we extend this incentive, in turn, you will pay less money for the right to advance that principle. So 20% concessions are afforded to the concessionaires if they meet that 15% goal of all of their rentals being rentals that are alternatively fueled. We actually have a framework for what an appropriate rental is. It's not based on the traditional alternative fuel mechanism, but on a points rating that also we believe is a model. I won't get into the details on that except to say that we think it's a sophisticated strategy that will hold a lot of sway in terms of convincing other airports across the country to follow suit. What does this mean? If you rent a car in San Francisco here at the International Airport, we are saying to you, rent an alternative fuel car. If you do, you won't pay as much money as you would otherwise. In fact, we'll give you a $15 incentive to do what we think is the right thing. You will not only be doing the right thing from the environmental perspective, but arguably from your own pocketbook perspective because you're paying less in gas. The average rental vehicle, this is remarkable, you guys shared this with me, goes some 351 miles out of this airport. When you are paying for gas, rental companies don't pay for gas, we know that. When we return that vehicle, sometimes we pay a lot for gas if we're not being strategic in terms of where we get that gas. Obviously, with a hybrid vehicle or alternative fuel vehicle, you don't need as much fuel. So there's an other incentive that to me is self-evident in principle. We believe that we will, if we hit that 15% baseline goal, we will achieve a CO2 reduction of over 4,200 tons a year. We think we can achieve 5,000 ton reduction in the first year, but we're conservatively estimating some roughly 4,200 ton reduction in CO2 emissions because of this innovative program. I want to thank the entire Airport Commission, Rich Guggenheim, and others that are here. I want to thank again John Martin for his leadership. It continues to set the pace for the rest of the industry. I want to thank the Board of Supervisors for adopting and supporting the lease that was signed by me in mid-December, and I look forward to promoting this program and advancing our environmental goals over the course of the next 2 years, as this is a 2-year pilot project, which we hope will be so successful that we expand it and we see it expanded in cities and airports across this country and around the rest of the world. So John, thank you for all your stewardship.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Might also mention this, that under the new lease with the rental car industry that took effect on January 1, the overall revenues to the airport will increase from about $34 million to $46 million a year. The city receives a 15% share of that revenue, so there will be about a $1.8 million increase in the contribution from the airport to the general fund. I'd like to now introduce Dan Goldis from the San Francisco Convention and Visitors Bureau. Dan?
Thank you, John. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's really a pleasure to be here. The San Francisco Convention and Visitors Bureau is very, very pleased and proud to partner with the City and County of San Francisco and with SFO throughout the year to promote San Francisco and the region as a visitor destination to consumers, to meeting planners, to the travel industry, both domestically and internationally. And I would say we're especially pleased to be adding this new green rental car initiative to our onlyinsanfrancisco.com/green website, which talks about all the great things that consumers, meeting planners, and the travel industry can find to make their trip to San Francisco and the region even more green. You know, folks coming to this area are looking for an only in San Francisco experience. And this rental car credit, being the first in the US, will really help give them that only in San Francisco experience. We look forward to continuing this partnership and continuing these green initiatives into the years to come. And with that, it's my pleasure to introduce the Senior Director of Social Responsibility and Environmental Affairs for the GAP, Kindley Walsh Lawler.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon. I'll repeat my name one more time, and I apologize, it's a tongue twister. I'm Kindley Walsh Lawler. I'm the Senior Director at GAP Inc. for Social Responsibility with a focus also on the environmental affairs area. And I want to say a warm thank you to Mayor Newsom, to John Martin, to the Airport Commission, also to CVB for inviting us here today. We're really thrilled to be the representative company engaging with this project. The Green Rental Car Program is a natural connection and collaboration for us. As an apparel company, we focus on the 3 key areas where we have the biggest environmental impact. We call it our eco strategy. E is for energy reduction, C for cotton or sustainable design, and O for output or waste reduction. The Green Rental Car Program directly connects to our output reduction goal and connects back to multiple employee benefits that we offer internally as well. Benefits like commuter benefits, our carpool incentives. We have free memberships for Zipcar for our Bay Area employees. We offer commuter shuttles between our Bay Area campuses. And we also have secured bike parking at all of our headquarters areas. And now the Green Rental Car Program is a part of this wonderful benefit that we offer internally. So thank you so much for allowing us to be a part of this collaborative and innovative program. We truly appreciate it. Thank you. And I'm going to hand it back to John.
I can now answer any questions, if there's any questions. Tom?
You are, in fact, preaching what you actually practice. You, long before you were mayor, were driving into our parking lot with all kinds of alternative energy vehicles.
Yeah.
How important is it for people to have an understanding of these vehicles rather than just kind of know about them?
Yeah, very interesting and good question. 2 things in reflecting on the question. My greatest fear, when we announced this in April of last year, gas prices were going up and up and up. Here we are advancing this. Gas prices have dropped down significantly, though we saw a little bump in the last 7 or so days. My biggest fear now is people don't see this as a big incentive any longer. They don't see the benefit from their pocketbook. They may intellectualize a benefit from an environmental perspective, but right now, pocketbook issues are driving people's consciousness. One of the things that is the myth about alternative fuel vehicles, electric vehicles included, and I now at home have an extraordinary electric vehicle, the next generation electric vehicle, is how much fun they are to drive and how good you feel driving them. And the performance of these cars have become exceptional. They're no longer cars that you're a little bit embarrassed to drive or that are weak in terms of their performance. The quality of these cars have increased exponentially over the years, and as a consequence, if you're looking for performance, you're looking for safety, you're looking for something you don't have to service often, I would argue now that you have higher performance and lower maintenance with these new alternative fuel cars than you do traditional combustion engines. Electric cars in particular have less moving parts, and as a consequence, there are less parts to break down, less parts to rust out, literally and figuratively. So this is the beginning of a revolution. All the new hybrids now, about a year or two from now, will become plug-in hybrids, and this is the game changer. This takes your hybrid and makes it 30 to 40% more energy efficient, fuel efficient by getting the plug-in technology. The goal for us is to provide ample charging stations throughout the entire region. We have an ambitious goal of 250,000 charging stations in the city and throughout the Bay Area. 250,000. Mayor Reed in San Jose just a week or so ago, in partnership with a company, is starting to provide public charging stations free of cost. In San Francisco, in a few weeks, you're going to see the initiation of a similar program at all of our parking garages as well as off-street parking. And then we're going to provide switch stations, which will allow you to literally flip out the battery of your car and replace it with a brand new charged battery at 150 different stations throughout the entire region that will allow you to have a recharged car in a faster time than it would take to literally refuel that same car. So within a couple of minutes, you get a brand new battery and you're off. And that's where I think ultimately we'll see this scaling. But in the interim, it's about financial incentives. It's about making the case that the environment is still part of, or should be part of our consciousness as well. And it's good to see us actually, as you say, practicing what we're preaching and demonstrating a capacity to do it by building partnerships and raising more money for the public good, which is more general fund revenue, as John wisely stated.
Mayor, I can just, nice to see you. I could just hear my anchors saying tonight, so how many of these cars are going to be available here when people decide they want to come to San Francisco and actually rent them?
What is the 15%? We have a number. What's the actual number, Julian? 600 vehicles a day will be utilized. So 600 a day will be out on the roads, which is not insignificant. Again, the average rental car from this site travels some 351 miles, a lot up to Napa, to Tahoe, down in the South Bay and down the Monterey Peninsula area. So you get 600 vehicles that are alternative fuel vehicles. You reduce your CO2 output, again, 4,200 plus tons on an annual basis. We hope to see a higher number, and of course you reduce fuel costs, and in turn the companies save a little, and you save a little because you wisely got the incentive of $15 for getting an alternative fuel car from this rental companies you see behind me.